Hello everyone. Good morning. Okay, so yesterday we have completed this record types. There's two things left with permission set and the introduction to the mass update. I have seen this one. Actually, there is a small update with this latest release, and that was the reason we were being not able to find it out, like why this was not working. Permission set, I'm yet to explore it more. So let me first of all take this one and then I'll go further with the data management part. All right. See, but this is something which is not possible on the classic. Previously it was, but with this, the latest release, things have been changed a little bit and the user interface, these options are not available, particularly for the classic. So now, if you wanted to learn this, how we can introduce a mass update action or maybe an action button. So how exactly I can do that? For this, we have to migrate ourselves to the Lightning experience. So I would be taking you to the Lightning. And this is also a good way, like um, gradually, but with the small examples, I have also shown you throughout this, I have shown you like how we can navigate to the Lightning and how we can do the things over there as well. I'm going to take maybe one session for this, but at the end, maybe, wherein I would be showing you like how to use the Lightning experience as well. But periodically, like we have seen, whenever there were so many different times when I have taken you to the Lightning and I have shown you like this is something we do this navigation and we have to navigate like this over here. Now, I wanted to perform, for example, if I would take you to this, let me take you to, we have created some of the application, but because they are not Lightning applications, they would not be going to appear over here, right? We have this HR management on whatever the application we have created. Since we have created them in the classic environment, they are not going to appear over here. Here, if you go with this app launcher, right? This is something called as an app launcher, application launcher in short. This was like, in classic, we have this over here as in the drop down, isn't it? So same app launcher in the Lightning, it's on the in the left hand side, in the left handmost corner. But you created a few applications like HR management or Merck Incorporation. They are not going to listed out over here. One, why they are not? Because they are not a Lightning applications, right? If you would create something over here, it's definitely going to list it out, right? So, but otherwise, all the standard application like sales, service, and the marketing, right? You would going to find them over here. Now, for example, I'll go with like, I'll go with sales. No, I migrated to console. Sorry. Let me try this with service. Now, you can see this is an account. I mean, this is the tab bar. You can definitely customize this as well. I mean, if you wanted to customize this, you can do a little bit over here as well. Then you can customize whatever the tabs you wanted to see. Tab bar customization in simple. For this, in classic, we are having a button over here, but in the Lightning, you'll have to navigate. You'll have to navigate to the app launcher, app manager for this. That I'm going to teach you in a separate lecture. All right. Now let's go to the account object. Here, as you can see, like I have all these different views. If I would go with, for example, all right, I would select few of the account. Okay, these are few of the account record which I have selected. Now, for example, I wanted that the rating should become hot. The rating should become hot for every one of them. The rating should become hot for every one of them. You selected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you see there's one small checkbox over here. There's one small checkbox over here, which gives you like, if you take rating as hot, right? There are two possibilities over here. Do you wanted rating to become hot just for this account? Or because you have selected the all 6 accounts? Do you wanted this rating to become hot for all 6 of them? All right. So if I would select this one and I'll apply, now you can see the rating becomes hot for everyone. So in this way, this is the first way, understand. But for this, you have to enable one small setting called as inline editing, which actually is enabled by default. It's always enabled. But let's say for some case, if it is not enabled, you have to enable a setting called as inline editing. Please mark it down. Please mark it down that there is a small setting called as inline editing. By default is always enabled, and particularly for the system administrator, it's always enabled. But let's say in some other case, if you won't find this option, maybe if you are not in system admin, you're working in an environment where your profile is something different, then you won't find this option. If you have to do this, you have to ask the system administrator to enable this option for you, inline editing. Though, right? So this is something, they have to do this on the profile level. But because we are the system admin right now, we see this option. All right. So this is one way. I can do, for example, I'll make changes over here. I'll make this active as no. So do I wanted this option which I have selected? Do I wanted this option to be like what to say? To be like applied to this one or to all of the 6 accounts which I have selected? So I'll go with like all 6. I'm going to apply this. Right. Now, how many records you can select over here? Is there any upper limit for this? Yes, of course there is. Yes, of course there is an upper limit. What is that? 100 records at a time. Please write it down all, because there is nothing written onto this theory. You can see I have just introduced the topic names. I haven't written anything, because these are some of the recent things which I have introduced. Especially this one, this one is just from your batch. Right? Even to the immediate previous batch was like 206. Even I haven't taught this to them. All right. So there are a few of the things which I have introduced just from your batch, or maybe some prior batches to you. So that's the reason I haven't get the time to jot down the notes for this. So whatever I'm telling you, first of all, it's getting recorded. That's a good thing, but you'll have to create the notes. Now, this is one of the technique called as mass inline editing. Now, this technique is called as mass inline editing. So if I wanted to bifurcate this, I could say that there are 2 techniques: mass inline edit option, and the second one would be an action button, which I'm going to show you. Action button. Let me say this. All right. So these are the 2 techniques, by which you could perform the updation on multiple records. Okay. What is an inline editing in this case? As you can see, for example, if I would give this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. All right. And I would select this, all of the records which I have selected, just apply this value to every one of them. It's going to be like this. All right. It's going to be like this. And once you have been done, you can save this. But understand one thing. What is the difficulty you find over here? What the difficulty you find? Let me cancel this whole operation. What the difficulty you find? I have to select phone, rating, and active one by one. What I did is like, I first of all make this selection. Let me update this 10 accounts. I want to update this 10 accounts. And what are the fields that I wanted to update? I wanted to have like the same value for a phone and the rating and for the active status. So if I would go with the inline editing, I'll have to do this field by field. I have to select like phone. First of all, I'll have to select like phone. I'll have to make the editing over here, whatever the editing I wanted to do. And then I'll have to apply this to all. And then when this has been completed, I'll have to come to rating and then active status. Understood? So this is like you have to visit fields particularly one by one, and then you'll have to apply the changes, right, in a way. And there is one more option to this. I can create a combo box. I can create I can create a box like this, where I would add like phone field, rating field, and active field. And then simultaneously in the same, I would perform this and I'll save it, right? Let me show you how. So this is now I'm going to introduce you the second technique called as introducing the action button. So we can have one button over here. We can have one button maybe over here by which I could perform the mass update operation as well, right? Let me try to show you this as well. But for this, I'll have to go with the settings. So in the Lightning environment, you'll have to go the topmost corner. There's a gear icon called setup. You'll have to make this click and go with the setup. Go with the setup. Because these changes I just wanted is this onto the account level. These changes I just wanted this to onto. Acha, moreover, let me show you. Let me write it down. One more important thing. I don't have that copy of notes over here. Let me open another laptop. Just give me a moment because I have created a report for this, but that is present in my another laptop, the office laptop. Just give me a moment. I'll have to make an important note over here. Give me a second for this. Give me a second. Let me open the WhatsApp. Give me a second for this. There's one important thing, whatever you are seeing right now, the mass update, this is not applicable to all of the objects. In case of a standard object, there are only few of them on which you can perform this task. But this can be done on every custom object. This can be done on every custom object. So when we are doing this operation, this inline editing or this mass update, this can be done only with few of the standard objects. I'm just trying to get the list of that because I created a report for this. Let me just check it out. Yes, it is over here. I'm trying to WhatsApp you something. Just give me a moment, guys. Web.whatsapp. So, yeah. One second. I'm just trying to copy and paste it into the WhatsApp group. Before that, I'll have to make login into WhatsApp. Okay, let me pause the recording for a little while. Again. Yup. All right. So these are some of the bullet points that we should know when we are trying to perform the mass update action. So whenever we are trying to do this mass update action, the first thing is like you should be aware about all this. So you could select maximum 100 records, right? That is what I was trying to say. Okay, when we are selecting this from this list, what is the upper limit? How many records I could maximum select? So that limit is 100. You can perform this mass update only onto 100 records. But this is not available with every object. Considering the standard one, there are only few objects like case, lead, accounts, campaigns, contacts, and opportunities, and there are few more. But that is available with all of the custom objects. You can perform this with every custom object. There is no selection into this. And you cannot perform this with recently viewed. I mean, if you are on to this recently viewed, right over there, you cannot perform this, but maybe things have been a little changed. Let me try to check it out. So inline editing is available. But if I would introduce the second option is an action button, you cannot perform mass quick actions with an action button on recently viewed list. But let me check this point once again because we are about to create this action button. So let me check it out, this one. So we merely have, we have two different ways to perform mass updates, but in Lightning environment. So These are the two different ways by which you could perform the mass update. The first one is inline editing option. The first one is the inline editing option. And the second one is the action button. But whenever you are trying to do this, these are some of the considerations. These are following some considerations related to this bulk update functionality. All right, now let me try to implement this whole. All right, so this might be clear to everyone that how to perform this mass inline updation. Now let me do one thing. Let me introduce a button over here, but which I feel which cannot be come with a recently viewed. So I'll go with all accounts. And then, so for that, what you have to do, you first of all would require to, let me repeat this process. Go to this gear icon, which represents setup in case of a lightning environment. Let me close this WhatsApp and everything, because this is a VDI system. This laptop which I was accessing is on VDI. Good. Anyways, you have to go with this gear icon that represents a setup in the lightning and go with setup. Now, you have two options, setup home and the object manager. Now, because I wanted to introduce something on the object level, I'll have to go with this, the second one. The second tab is object manager. Just click on that. Go to that object where you wanted to implement this. I wanted to do this with account. So I'll go with this account. I'll go with this account. Yes. And then now see. Now you have like all these options, right? You have all these options. Now there's an option called button links and actions. This option always available in the classic as well. But to implement this, we would require something called as list view. This option is not available in the classics. So that is the reason you cannot go with the same, whatever you're learning right now, you cannot implement this in the classic. But anyways, let's complete this out. So I would go first of all, I'll have to introduce one more action button. There are already few of the action buttons like new, import, printable views. These are some of the buttons which is already there. But I wanted to introduce one more button, right? So that's the reason I'm going with button links and action, this option, and I make a click. Now I wanted to, it seems a little confusing that, I mean, we are supposed to introduce a button. So ideally we should select this, but don't do that. You actually would require to select a new action, not a button, right? You'll have to go with new action. It seems to be a little confusing at this moment itself. So that is the reason I'm clarifying you. Okay, you don't have to go with the second way. This is the way what you have to follow. What is that? Go with new action, not go with the new button. Not go with new button, go with new action. All right. New action. Now let me see whether I have already created this in the past lecture. Mass update. Yeah, this was something which I already have created. So what I did, let me revise that once again. Now go with this new action. I wanted to update the records. I wanted to update the records. So these all are the options. I'm selecting update a record. Now, when you select this, I mean, these are the only actions what you can perform. You can create a new record. You can create a button by which you can, when someone would create, you can introduce a button by which if somebody would make a click onto that, he can create a record, he can send the email, he can log a call. This could be a gateway to your custom Visualforce page. You can update a record which we are going to follow. You can call a lightning component, a web component, or maybe you can even call a flow. And mostly this is screen flow. Mostly this is in screen flow. I'm not sure about record triggered, but mostly when I have worked, I've worked on the screen triggered flow. Anyways, so I would like to go with this option, update a record, right? So what should be the standard label? There is an update. There's an update. Go with this. Now you can give any name. I'm giving the name as mass update. Mass update. And after like this has been done, I wanted to give a message like congratulations. You can skip this. If you want, you can give a message like congratulations, your records you selected. Congratulations. Records are updated successfully. Records are updated. Records are updated. I'm very bad in spelling. This is going to hurt. Records are updated successfully, right? This is what a message I can give. And now I'm saving this. So this has created one action. All right, this has created one action. This has created one action. Why it is coming like this? All right. So anyways, so I've told you that I wanted to see maybe like see when we do this inline editing, what is the drawback? You'll have to go with, you'll have to visit every field, right? You'll have to visit every field like this and like this. So what I was saying to you, okay, let's introduce a dialog box over here, and wherein we can have like phone field, rating field, we can have active field or industry or whatever you wanted, you can just introduce over here, right? So this is what it does looks like to be. This box look like to be that, right? So let me add some. There are already some of the fields over here. Why it is coming like this? Ideally it should not have to come like this. Why it is coming like this? Anyways, chodo. Name should always be there. You can see a red star because that's a mandatory field. After that, you wanted phone, industry, type, website. I'll just removing website from here. Let me bring the active status. Type also I'm removing. Phone I wanted, industry I wanted, active status I wanted. And ownership as well I wanted to be over here. Phone, industry. Let me quickly save this. So this is that dialog box which actually I wanted. All right. Now you have to give a predefined value. This is essential. Just mark the steps. What is required when you do this? When you try this with your own, when you do practices, you will going to understand this more. All right. Abhi kaisa hai ki just try to mark down those steps which I am doing, and you'll have to just replicate. You'll have to follow the same steps which I am going. All right. So which I am creating, you just have to follow those steps. Now, once that action has been defined, there's something called as a predefined value. What is the significance of this? I'll make it very simple to understand. Almost in every object, there is one field which is mandatory, name. You must remember, I have told you whenever you create an object, like you created hiring manager candidate position, or if there are the objects which has been already been created, like all these, that means I'm talking about standard and the custom one. I'm talking about the standard objects as well as the custom objects. If you remember those early days when we were creating these all objects like hiring custom, whatever, all these custom objects, I told you there are the 5 standard fields that are automatically created inside every object. Now I have given you this command. Can any one of you let me know what are those 5 standard fields that are automatically created inside every object? Yes. Yes, you can unmute yourself.
Our name
Mm-hmm.
created by
Name and created by
body
last modified by
yeah.
Yes, three तीन हुआ है तो name created by last modified by. Yes, I require two more. Yes.
Owner.
Fourth. One more. All right, go on mute, please. It's ID, owner, name, created by, last modified by. These are the 5 standard fields which is created inside every object when you create. All right. Anyways, chalo, theek hai. So out of that, when we go with predefined values, you have to select any one of them, which would be there for every object. In most of the cases, we select name. In most of the cases, we select name because name by default is a standard field and is present inside every object. So when I'll go with new, I'll go with new. Right, when I'll go with new, I have to select one of the field from here. I would prefer name. And why I would going to prefer name? Because name is that field which is present inside every object. Now you have to design a formula for this. So don't worry about that as well. I'm telling you. First is like you are learning this right now. When you are learning, it seems to be a little complicated. Maybe while you are learning the approval process, that time also it seems to be a little complicated. Initial submission, final approval, final rejection, then step by step. So it seems like this is a normal tendency. I mean, that happens with me as well. When I learned this for the first time, the first impression came out to be, yeah, this is something which is a little complicated. But when you start doing the practices, and when you start doing the practices, you start creating few more things out of that. So this becomes like, this is something which seems to be manageable. Then it appears to be a manageable thing. होता है ऐसा ये नहीं है. Few of the things are very straightforward, but few of the things are little, what to say, there is a little more depth into that concept. You'll have to dig more. So when you are going a little deep into this, obviously it would require a little more efforts. होता है ऐसा. But this is just up to when this feeling would obviously going to be get gone when you do this in your practices, when you start implementing this. Okay. So please don't create any immediate impression. That is not the correct way, right? Obviously, why? Because you haven't made any practice so far. अभी तो मैं समझा रहा हूँ. फिर जब आप इसको implement करोगे तब कुछ अलग होगा, है ना? So please don't make any immediate impression about this. All right. So mostly we select name, and why we select name? Because name is present in everywhere. Name is present in everywhere. All right. Now I'll go with the show formula editor. And because I have selected name, I just have to find out that field, nothing else. So I'll go with insert field. In the account, I have selected name. So I selected name and then insert. That's it. Once again, let me repeat. Because I have selected name, I'll have to find that field. I'll go with insert field button. I'll make a click over here. In the account, I'll select this account name and I'll insert this. That's it. Okay. If you would check the syntax, it wouldn't give you any error at this moment. No syntactical errors. Done. Save it. That's it. हो गया. ठीक है. Now the action is being ready. This is step number 1. Create the action. So these were like these were like the steps that involved in creating the new action. Now this is a second step for which I would have to go with list view button layout. This I have to edit. And this is not present in Classic. This option is not present in Classic. This option is not. And that is the reason you cannot do the same in the Classic. All right, chalo. So this is my step number 1. Whatever I have taught you, like go to this button and links, create a new action where you have to select update, give the name, give the message, then save it. When you save it, it'll come over here. Onto this interface, you'll have to give the predefined values. So mostly because we are updating a record, we are referring it with the name. So I have selected name, right? The way I have designed the formula and everything. That entirely includes in what? Step number 1. So let me go further with this. What is step number 2? The step number 2 is to have this button over here, is to have this button. So this all are your list views, right? This is what we used to say this as enhanced list view. Remember this? When I started making you aware about the Salesforce in our early days itself, there were few things which we learned as an early customizations. One of them was enhanced list view, how to bring some options over here, right? We did few assignments as well. So it is enhanced list view or list view in simple, because you make a selection over here. This interface gets loaded, right? This interface gets loaded. So I wanted to have one new action I have created, which I wanted to be get listed out over here. So that means I am asking to make the changes in the list view, right? That is the reason I am going with list view button layout. But this is not present in Classic. So this is my step number 2, go with the list button layout. These all are the these all are the actions, like you can see new import printable view. They all have been listed out over here. New, you see, import printable view. And there are a few more, depends what type of option you are selected. Based on that, they are going to list it out. I have created one more action, which is not presently is over here. I have to bring it. I have to bring it. So I'll go with this drop down and click on edit, all right. I'll click on edit, scroll it a little bit. You have one action. You have one action that you have created with the name called update account. Just add it into the list. Simple. Add it into the list and save. Add it into the list and save. Now, when you save it, it would going to appear. Like when you go back with this, you can see that your update account has been added. All right. Now let me go with this. I'll select, let's say all account. Let's say all account. And as I have refreshed, actually, it was not coming. So I have refreshed. Now see, you have one button called update account. Now, what is the benefit of having this? See, previously what we used to do, let me select this 10 accounts. I could maximum select 100, not more than that. And now if I wanted to update, like, phone, whatever, so I have to, when I was doing inline editing, I'll have to visit this. I'll have to visit this and right. Now, when I make a click onto this update account, see what has happened. One dialog box has been created. Okay. You can have name, you can change the name of all of them. Or you can even, if you don't wanted this, you can remove this as well. But you can bring like some other fields over here, right? I brought this, so this is why this is coming. I can remove this as well, don't worry. Let me first of all do that changes. I don't want a name to be there. So I'll go back with what are the present fields? Active status, right? All right. I don't want a name to be get changed. So I'm going back with this and button links and actions. And what was that? Update account. Let me edit this. Let me edit the formula over there. Right? Mm, mm, mm. Let me not do this with account. Instead of account, let me select the field active. Let me now save this. Rating is also because let me try this with the phone. I hope this should work. Oh, good. Very good, very good, very good. All right, so we cannot bring quick list over here. That's a new finding to me as well. Why? I should not like idea like this account form. No. I cannot make edit over here. Account name. I cannot edit this. Anyways. I'm not sure why this is like this. Let me go back and refresh this interface once. All right, let's see. Now I'm been selecting like say 10 or 5 accounts. And now if I would go with update account name is still over there. I just wanted to remove this. I wanted to remove this. Let me try to create it once again. And select rating from here. Specific value. Or if I would be selecting phone. I would be selecting phone. Check the syntax. It doesn't have any errors. Let me now save this. All right, I shall come back and let me refresh. See, whenever you do the refreshing in Lightning, my suggestion is to not to go with this here. Go with Control Shift plus R. Control Shift and R like this. So when you do this Control Shift and R, it would eventually clear the cache as well, because Lightning used to maintain the cache. All right, so do this whenever you are doing refresh in Lightning page. Do this Control Shift and R. Why the name is still coming on? All right, let me try to do testing, then we'll see. Anyways, chalo. मुझे एक बार देखना पड़ेगा कि name why is coming up. Anyways, chalo. So I'm giving the name as test to all those. Active status is this one. I'm selecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ownership I'm selecting as public. And industry I would be selecting as this one. And when I would save this, data 10 records. So it is just giving you this message. Now to all 10 records, the name has been changed, the phone, and then this has been changed. Ideally, I was trying not to change this. So I'll try to find out the workaround for this, right? मैं निकालता हूँ ढूंढ के इसको. Because ideally this should not happen. हमको name change नहीं करना है. On the same existing name ही ये सारे fields update होना चाहिए था, which we were failed to do this. तो एक हिस्सा तो हमने सीखा, बट देन द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट जो है वो हमसे नहीं हो पाया आज, एंड दैट इज कि ये नेम चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए था आइडियली. ठीक है, तो मैं इसका वर्क अराउंड ढूंढ के निकाल लूंगा, डोंट वरी. चलो, अभी इंपॉर्टेंट जो था वो हमने आज कंप्लीटली ये सीखा कि हाउ वुड यू कैन परफॉर्म अ मास अपडेट एक्शन, राइट? एंड देयर आर टू डिफरेंट वेज टू डू दैट. इनलाइन एडिटिंग एंड देन दिस इंट्रोड्यूसिंग एन एक्शन बटन. इनलाइन एडिटिंग में ड्रॉबैक ये है कि you'll have to visit the fields like whatever you wanted. उसको आपको for every field you'll have to do this. And with this, the good thing is like, when you will try to do this, it would create a dialog box. उसमें आप एक value दे दो, and when you would save this, this is going to make an impact to all those selected records. How many of them you can select? The maximum is 100 records at a time, not more than that. Not more than that, you can update. The maximum limit is 100 records at a time. ठीक है, चलिए. But this is something like we were being failed to figure out, like we don't wanted to change the name. ये आज नहीं हो पाया, but I'm going to find it out. मैं निकाल लूंगा इसके लिए कुछ ना कुछ हल तो निकाल ही लूंगा. So do the practice on to this by today. Permission set is still left. In the next session, I'm going to talk about field dependencies. I cannot take it in 10 minutes. I have another batch. So in the next session, I'm going to talk about field dependencies. Yes. Any questions? Any questions? There are so many things, guys. I'm telling you very honestly. Even I don't know. But I always do my practice. There are so many things in Salesforce. This ecosystem is very big. And nobody would admit this probably, but I always say the truth. And whatever is this, I always accept it honestly. There are so many things, I am learning that from the kind of requirements. I always try to find it out. Is there is any out of box functionality for this? And there are so many things like, I find it out by exploring this in this way. So when you have a tendency of this continuous learning, if you wanted to really learn something, you should always have that the mindset that I am a student. I'm a lifelong student. I always wanted to be in this. I wanted to learn something. You would going to learn everything. If you would start saying, if you would start saying to yourself, yeah, this is something what I already know, something which I, so at that moment itself, you are preparing your mind not to learn the new concepts. So always have that space in your mind. Always feel like there is so many things in this technology, in this world, in this life, which I don't know, but I wanted to learn them. So I always consider myself to be a student. I'm always a student. I'm never think like a teacher. This is why, see, during our discussion as well, I tell you this so many things. You and me are same. Why? Because we both are students. But thing is that I'm a little senior than you. But even I have not graduated. You are also not graduated. Maybe I am in third year. You are in first year. That's it. So if you have this tendency, you're going to learn and maintain this. Yes. Any questions you wanted to discuss, guys? Any questions?